Hi, my name's Esther, and welcome to the 2025 Plush Collection video. A video that to me is a bit overdue. I mean, I have a lot of videos overdue right now because I had no motivation to do them, but right now I want to do this one. So, last video I did on my collection was in November, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that was a mistake because that means I did 2 collection videos in 1 year. That's a bit too much. But without any more talking, let's get to red. So, for red, I have a jumbo red. Then I got a 12-inch red. Then I have not one, but 2 TCC reds. Then I have a Jangy, cartoon character Co, however you want to call it, red. Then I have a few 8-inch Commonwealths. But first are the horrid, awful White House Leisure ones. Now, why are they horrid? Well, for comparison, this is a normal 8-inch red. Perfectly fine, how you know him. And this mistake is a White House Leisure. Weirdly shaped, weirdly embroidered, has these little beans at the bottom for whatever reason, and it's just generally ugly. But yeah, so here's an 8-inch red, a first gen 8-inch red, and the 2 mistakes. Next, I got a few more 8-inch. That is a Pilot Luke from the Star Wars Wave 2 set, and an Easter one. This one is new with tags. He's really cool. But now is the time to get to the smaller sizes. So let's go because there's a lot. First, we got my main, as of now, 5-inch red. Tagged with sound doesn't work. It's the Polish import, of course, because why not? The thing about these, like the Polish import ones at least, from what I've seen, they have a really weird tail feathers placement. Well, for comparison, here's a regular 5-inch red that I also own. See, the tail is normally placed. Now look at where they put it on the Polish one. That looks odd, like really odd. Why did that happen? I have no idea. But yeah, so we got a 5-inch red, another 5-inch red, then we have a 5-inch red, a 5-inch red, and a 5-inch red. Then we have another 5-inch red, this time Ma Fur. Then we are going over to space to visit a space red, a tagged space red, and a tagged space red with sound, which I got from an unboxing you might have seen. I'm gonna link it right here, go watch that. It's a cool unboxing, PDQ, and all. Very cool. I recommend you. Okay, so now let's go to seasons. You know what? No, let's go to Star Wars first. We got a Luke, my childhood Luke, which I got in 2013. I think you can tell. Then we have another one, which I got from a lot. I have a video on that lot as well, you should go check it out after this one. And then we have a tagged Luke. Interesting, he doesn't have a Sono label. And it's not like he's had it cut off. No, he has a side tag. And there's literally no trace of the touch tag, so that's just interesting error, I guess. Alright, so the final Star Wars plush is the Pilot Luke, who I finally got in 5-inch after so much waiting. You do not want to know how tough the Wave 2 of Star Wars is to get over here. I mean, it's such a pain, because they weren't released normally, so the only option to get those is, well, be lucky that someone bought it overseas in America, and that, you get lucky this way. Because if I remember correctly, you know, Rovio imports don't exist of this set as well, so, you know, it's pretty fucking tough to get these. But at last I have them. Okay, so now let's move on to seasons and start off with Devil Red. You know, my first season's Plush, if I remember correctly. He is very cool, I like him. Unfortunately he's 3rd gen, so, you know, a later run, but still, very cool plush. Well, here's Vampire Red, a custom I made after watching Maximus Overdrive's video, because I looked at this thing, thought, wow, this is really cool, why didn't they make him? Then I thought, hey, his accessories look really simple to make, so I went ahead and did this. And I'd like to say this is a very good job on it. You know, it looks cool, the teeth, the cloak, it's all cool. Then we have a Santa Red with a Canadian release, interestingly. A Ruby, a 6-inch US Winter Red. I have been wanting one of these for such a long time. And to go along with him very nicely, I have the re-release Winter Red, who I adore and is one of my most prized possessions. Of course, you know, tagged. I think I've talked about the redesigns on this channel enough, so I'm not gonna be going into detail about this guy again. Then we have a Easter Red with tags, who I got from a trade with Maximus Overdrive, same with this guy right here. So that's very cool. There's also a few plushies that I don't care for enough to show them off, but I guess it's a collection video, so here are the 2 reds distributed by Milka in like a chocolate set. So yeah, these 2 exist, I guess. We have the, I think it's a H&M red, if I'm not mistaken. I think so, I'm not sure. Not like I care about it enough to check. And we have the possibly the greatest movie red plush to get ever made, the TCC one. TCC really did a great job on the movie plush, I must say that though. Like, Commonwealth did a nice job, but TCC just overdid them with this set. You know? The fur is really nice, the details, embroidery and everything is just way more accurate to the movies, I feel. And now we get to a 4-inch red. You know, tactics, a tactic, a space tactic, a backpack clip, and Luke backpack clip. So yeah, that's all of my red plushies. Let's now move on to blue. So before we actually get to blue, I forgot to mention I have also these 2, which I assume are J. Franco. But let's get them out of the way and get to blue. So first up, I got some not interesting plushies at all, like the TCC blue, as well as a TCC blue, you know, some of the most boring plushies I could show today. Actually, no, there's one more boring. A TCC movie blue. Again, I really like how they did the movie plushies. Better than Commonwealth, honestly. Like, I'll probably stick an image of a Commonwealth here. But yeah. Then we have a regular old 8-inch of a blue. Have no idea where I got that one. As well as a White House Leisure 8-inch blue. Interestingly, this one isn't even wonky. This one's actually better shaped, better stuffed than the other 8-inch I have. Which is, I feel, pretty damn interesting. Next we have a 5-inch blue and a 5-inch redesign blue. After which we again, just like with red, go to space with lightning blue, a tagged lightning blue, and a tagged lightning blue, with the third one being from the PDQ. Then we go over to seasons with the redesigned Santa blue, one of my favorite plushies, the winter blue, as well as the redesigned winter blue, who, again, I'm not gonna talk about again, because I've spoken about the redesigned Winters way more than enough on this channel already, but as you know, he's one of the rarest plushies of all time. And just for a good measure, here is a 4-inch blue redesign, a sandwood blue, and a pencil topper. I also have a backpack clip of the Dead Star blue. I just have no idea where I put him, and I couldn't find him for the sake of a video. I have no idea. So now let's go over to Chuck. Alright, so with Chuck, let's start with the J. Franco pillow. Nothing interesting about that one, as well as the next few ones. They aren't interesting in a way either. Here's a White House Leisure movie Chuck, because if you don't know, they not only imported Commonwealths to Europe, they also did their own plushies for the movie, like this Chuck right here. I really don't like the fur texture on these though. Like, seriously, the fur texture on these is so weird, like those old plushies from the 80s and 90s, I just don't like it. Then of course there's Tesco's. Two of them. One I got in a lot, and one I actually won at a arcade that I saw last summer. It was very fun to see them. I also got 2 bags of these Angry Birds Star Wars dog tags. That was fun. Next up, there's of course a TCC, because how else would you go without a TCC, right? Then we have a 8-inch Commonwealth Chuck. I really like how the 8-inch chalks are. I mean, they're probably the best shaped chalks out of any plush, really. Any company, any size, you get the deal. Then we have my personally infamous 5-inch Chuck. I don't know, the way his face is done, like, it's more Dead Stare than any other Dead Stare Chuck, I swear. Then we have the redesigned Chuck. He's super crusty, I need a replacement for him. But unfortunately, at the time of buying, this was the only one available. So I got this one. I mean, I have one at least, right? I forgot where I have one of my Chuck plushies, and it's really disappointing because it was a 5-inch first generation one. But while searching for them, I found these two. You know, worth to mention, I have also these two. But yeah, I mean, if I find them while getting the other plushies out, I will mention it. But as of now, yeah, I don't think I'm finding them. So let's get to space. And from space, I have this very old ass Chuck. It was my first space Chuck. Yeah, I got him in a lot of space plushies. It was like in the first month of my collecting. He came like that, by the way. I didn't ruin the plush. He arrived like that. Then, just like with blue and red, I have a tagged Chuck. This one actually still has the bag that he was supposed to come in. I have it somewhere in the back. I'm not gonna get it out right now, but I have one for him. And there's the PDQ Chuck. Fun fact, all of the PDQ plushies were done by a different factory, and that is HK98. You might know them for a lot of samples. Wow, what you will know them eventually for is how they messed up space plushies. This is a HK86 Chuck, a regular old Chuck, how you would know him. Now if I place the HK98 one next to him, you can see this is just not right. They switched to HK98 for space plushies sometime in 2013, and those I don't recommend getting, because, you know, they look off. Unless you like how they look off, and I guess go for what you want. I'm not gonna stop you. Next, let's continue the space journey, but looking at the Han Solo plush. I don't have one without tags, interestingly. The first one I got was with tags. It was a dead stock, if you know what that is. I found it on a site, they still had a few, so I got one. That's a nice story, I guess. Next, let's take a look at some seasons. Here's Wizard Chuck, one of my favorite plushies of all time. Still really looking for the redesign. Thankfully, maybe one pops up on Vinted. I mean, you know, never say never. And here's the redesigned Santa Chuck. Now let's go for the less interesting plushies. Here's a TCC movie Chuck. Here's a Spin Master Chuck. I think it's Spin Master. Yeah, it's Spin Master. Alright. Then we have some 4-inch. So first of all, there's Tactic Chuck. And 2 Tactic Space Chucks. I have a 4-inch redesigned Chuck. A 4-inch redesigned Chuck tagged. And a 4-inch redesigned Chuck. Why do I have this many? I have no idea. Here's a Sunwoo, a first generation backpack clip, a second generation backpack clip that I put a scarf on from another plush. Not an Angry Birds one, don't worry about that. A Space Chuck clip, and my favorite Chuck clip, the one new with tags in the bag. Amazing plush. Super cool. So that's all for the Chuck. Let's now move on to Bomb. So for Bomb, again, let's start with a J. Franco pillow. Again, there's nothing interesting about them, as well as this TCC movie Bomb. Again, I'm repeating myself at this point, but I love the TCC movie plushies. The best movie plushies that you can get are by TCC. What I don't like as much are the classic plushies. This one looks like it's been through hell. That's because it is. I got this one originally from the Tesco promotion back like 12 years ago, so he doesn't look the greatest, I know. But look, here's a way better kept one from a thrift store. So that's cool. Then we have, of course, how could we go without seeing one of these? Of course, at Tesco Star Wars plush. But on the other side is a retail 8-inch Obi-Wan. So, yeah, that's cool. And he has sound doesn't work though. This is a kind of different thing, but I wish the Wave 1 plushies of Star Wars got any sound. Because, you know, Wave 2 got them. Technically, Wave 1 also did. You know, there's some samples, and there's Chewbacca was also in Wave 2. So, I don't know. Take that as you will. Then we have a White House Leisure 8-inch bomb. Also a childhood piece. And one that I found recently at a thrift store. And holy shit, how did I get this? A spot bomb. Have at a fucking thrift store. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so let's go 6-inch now. We have a Obi-Wan Kaboomy. This is the only one I need in 5-inch, you know, true 5-inch, not a fucking 6.5-inch, not a 6-inch, a 5-inch to complete the Star Wars set. Then we have a regular 5-inch bomb, a Santa bomb with the tag. This is my only plush with this specific Christmas tag. I have a stocking of bomb, but you know, not a plush. There's Frankenstein bomb. Let me pull this one back. There's Winter bomb. With this one, you know, he's new with tags, but as you know, the US Winters had this golden egg tag, so I just decided to print one out and stick it on. It's very nice. It's super cool to me. Oh, fun fact. So now here's another 5-inch bomb. This one I got for some lot, so yeah. Then there's a space bomb. He is from the same lot that I mentioned previously with chalk. So that's something. But of course there's the PDQ new with tags space bomb right here. He's also looking very off and wonky. But as you know, that's the HK98 magic. Then we also have a Milka chocolate movie bomb and a tactic. So that's all for bomb. Let's now move on to Matilda. So for Matilda, it's gonna be very quick, as since last time I don't think I have gotten a single new plush. It's still the 5-inch Commonwealth, 5-inch Valentine's Matilda, the C3PO, and the Tactic. It's still that. So now let's move on to Classic Wave 2. So for this section I decided to just combine all of the Classic Wave 2 characters, as I don't have that many of each and they are connected by a seed anyway, so that fits. So let's start off with Hal, of who I have a Jumbo Plush. I'm gonna put him here so that he doesn't take up too much space, but you see him. For Hal, I then have a 12-inch, another white large plush. Why do you do that? Please stop. You're right, no. Let's not go with Hal further, let's just get the elephants out of the room. We have a Jumbo Terrence, a Jumbo Terabaka, who I'm gonna just put away. They take up, you know, a whole lot of space. And my favorite, the Jumbo Puff Puff Bubbles. Oh my days, this thing is perfect. One of the greatest plushies to ever exist. But with that, let's continue on with the characters. So for Hal, why does he keep falling? We have a open beak Hal, an open beak Hal, and an open beak Hal, as well as a chrome Hal, as well as a backpack clip Sun Wu Hal. I think that's all for Hal. Next up we got Terrence, from who I have a 8-inch classic Terrence, an 8-inch Terabaka, an 8-inch Terabaka, an 8-inch Tesco with the tag Terabaka. We have a 5-inch Terrence, absolutely beautiful plush, a Space Terrence, this one's from the lot that I mentioned earlier with these Firebomb and Laser Chalk, and the PDQ 5-inch Terrence. At least this one isn't so wonky like the other ones from that lot. I actually forgot a Hal plush, the 6-inch new with tags Chrome Hal. Then we have a Childhood Terabaka and another 5-inch Terabaka. Okay, so now let's go to Bubbles. We have an 8-inch White House Leisure Bubbles, who I got at a thrift store, and a 8-inch Puff Top Bubbles. Very cool plush. One of my favorite plushies of all time. Then I have a Childhood 5-inch Bubbles and a 5-inch Bubbles. Very cool. And also a 6-inch Puff Top Bubbles, super rare, of course. I think I've talked about them before, so no need to do that now. And last but not least, we got Stella. So let's begin with the 12-inch cross-eyed Leia. I bought this one because, you know, for example, with this 5-inch Leia, she's looking this way, but with this one, she's looking forward. So that's a different variation. I had to get it. Yes, being a completionist while collecting. But well, speaking of, we got an 8-inch Tesco and a 5-inch new with tags. Then we have a DCC right here, a 5-inch Stella, another 5-inch Stella, and a matte fur Stella. Pretty rare. So I think this is all for wave 2. There's a lot of them. You know, I think that's better than doing 4 different or 3 different chapters for those. So yeah. Now let's move on to what I like to call the other birds. Okay, so just a quick explanation in case anyone is wondering, what are the other birds? Well, it's just, you know, characters like Yoda, Icebird, or Rio plushies that only got like 1 plush of them, so I combined all of them into one part. Also, while recording the previous part, I forgot about these 2, the Tactic Stella and the 6.5-inch Bubbles. So with those out of the way, let's get to it. So first up, we got the Jumbo Mighty Eagle. I think you all know the Mighty Eagle, one of the best plushies in existence. Again, Jumbos are just that great. So now let's start. And let's start off with the 8-inchers. We got a Tesco Yoda, a Tesco Yoda, a retail, actually not a retail, just one house leisure, but way better looking Yoda with tags, a Tesco Yoda, and my special purple Tesco Yoda. From Yoda I only have 2 more plushies, that is the 6-inch one, White House Leisure, and the 5-inch one, my main Yoda. I have a lot of Yoda, I know. So next, let's take on Icebird. Here's the 8-inch that I have. My childhood Icebird, I think you can tell. Another 5-inch Icebird that I just so happen to own. And the PDQ 5-inch Icebird. Again, not that bad, but you know, it's not perfect either. You know, HK98. Then we have the Rio plushies. We have, of course, Blue, Jewel, Nigel, Nico, and a tagged Nico from the Commonwealth collection. And finally, we have 3 more plushies from Angry Birds Stella. We have Poppy. You know, I always like the feature of the wires in the feathers. That's really cool. You can pose them different ways. I also have a backpack clip of Poppy, a 5-inch Dahlia, and my probably most recent plush I got. Actually, no, there's one more recent. But my second most recent plush I got, Luca. So that's all of the quote-unquote extra birds, or other birds, or whatever. So now, let's get onto the pigs. Okay, so the pigs, let's start off with the Jumbos. We have the Helmet Pig Jumbo, new with tags. It's a Rovio import as well, V12 per gen, very cool. But you take up too much space, so bye-bye. As well as this White House Leisure, the Darth Vader. He's really silly looking because, you know, White House Leisure, making them cheaper, flat eyes, really weirdly flat nose. He's just weird. First of all, we got the 12 inches. Let's just get them out of the way. We got a Minion Pig and a Minion Pig. Then we have the J. Franco Minion Pigs. And one of my favorite plushies that I own, the 12-inch King Pig with the double-sided crown. I got them very recently and I'm happy, because that will let me to finally get on with that fucking plush series. But yeah, there's King Pig. Then we have some useless plushies like the TCC King Pig, a TCC King Pig, a TCC King Pig, a TCC King Pig, as well as a TCC Helmet Pig, a TCC Leonard. By the way, they are here, I'm just putting them somewhere so that they don't take up too much space. Okay, so now we're on to the actual good plushies, like an 8-inch Minion Pig, another 8-inch Minion Pig, this one I call Stupid Pig, I mean look at him, a King Pig, and another King Pig, this one's a bit more used, played with, I guess, I don't know, I'm assuming. Then there's Pumpkinhead Pig, a Helmet Pig, and a Helmet Pig in the retail box, new with tags. So now we can finally get to the 5-inch. Okay, so let's start off with something very simple, like a Minion Pig. Then we have a new with tags, a Minion Pig, with the interesting Belgian tag, you know, the one that goes. That's super cool. Then there's another Minion Pig, a Minion Pig that I have turned into Ross, and thankfully I don't have to buy the sample one now. Then we have a Foreman Pig, alongside a tagged one, a King Pig, a Cupid Pig, a Bow Pig, Queen Pig, Female Pig, whatever you want to call it. There's lots of different names. A Helmet Pig, a Winter Earmuff Pig, a Chef Pig, a Postman Pig, a new with tags Stormtrooper, and another Stormtrooper, and another Stormtrooper. Then there's Darth Vader, and a tagged Darth Vader. So there's also an 8-inch Stormtrooper, new with tags, a 4-inch Minion Pig, who I call Reggie in my Plush series, that hasn't really started yet, a Pencil Topper Pig by MZB, or whatever that company is called, and a Sanwoo backpack. There's also a Minion Pig backpack by Konos, again, no idea where. And that is not the end. I have one more chapter, technically, of the video, and that is the samples. So let's start off with the samples. I'm gonna go by the order in which I got them. First, we have the 5-inch Frozen King Pig. Absolutely delightful plush, I love him so much. My first ever sample with the Commonwealth tag. A thing I really like about him is that way you can see the stitches on the crown and the top. Some errors on him. You know, he's a very early development sample. You can see the errors, the issues. But that's one of the best factors about him. I don't think I can say it about him anything more. I've spoken about this thing way too much already. Then there's the Frozen Foreman Pig, my second ever sample, and well, there's just not much to say. He's basically the same as King Pig but Foreman. Okay. Then we have our first 8-inch sample, Captain Panaka, my first Star Wars sample, and to this day I believe he is one of the best Star Wars samples. I don't know why, maybe it's just because I have him on hand, but holy shit, he's here. Oh my god, I have him. Still sometimes I just take a look at him like, oh my god, I actually own this thing. Even though I got him like a year ago at this point. we got the Star Wars tag. If you're wondering, this is how it looks behind the cape. And you can see some stitching here. But that's Captain Panica. Then we have this guy. I have made a whole video talking about him with the unboxing, so I'm not gonna want to go into detail, but basically it's a Creata sample, not a Commonwealth one, the guys that made the McDonald's plushies. And I have one. This guy actually never released. They released a King Pig. They didn't do Minions. Next, we have possibly my favorite sample. Honestly, I'm not sure. It's like picking your favorite child. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Royal Guard. And just like with Winter Bomb, I gave him this thingy. His fork was falling apart, so I put a wire in there, but that thing also fell out. But you know, while the wire was in there, it was perfect. Greatly holding the fork like it's supposed to. Might try to fix it sometime later, but you know, when I have time. Then we have the Suction Cup Blue. Really not much to speak of, besides the fact that this is probably the best made, best shaped back clip sized plush I've ever seen. They're always super wonky, but not this guy. This guy is super well made. And last but definitely not least, the Ewok. Ah man, the Ewok, my latest sample. Together with the Suction Cup Blue, well, you know. Got him late. This is I mean, my last video was on this guy, so you know, it's not that much of a news anymore, but yeah. With the tag, super beautiful. And with that, I will be ending this video. So thank you a lot for watching. If you got to this point, if this is your first time watching my channel, I highly recommend you check out these videos. They are super cool and I put a lot of time into them, as well as some, well, other videos you might like. I got some different content than Angry Birds as well, but you know, do whatever you want to do. From other things, I would like to come back to actually schedule the releasing not once every month. I have a pretty damn big video coming up, like probably my biggest and most ambitious video yet. When will it release? I'm aiming for a late August. A mid to late August. It's just that big of a scale. As well as the Plush series. I'm actively working on that and would like to release the first 4 episodes after, oh, technically 5, but the first one is already out. Sometime next week, maybe the week after. I'm really looking forward to that. So, with that, I will have to say bye!